was 18 years old. We all decided to go to the Navy in 72. To graduate from boot camp, it was one of the proudest times in my life. When I got out of the Navy, that time of my life was almost like a black hole. Might have been about 20 years before I realized what I had. Said, you might have PTSD. It was dark. When they came into my life, that's when the sun came out and the storm clouds just went away. When someone's fighting for you, it just makes you feel like you're not alone no more, you know. When I talked to them with some concerns, it became their concern. My struggles were their struggles. You know, they started out being my attorneys, but they ended up being my family. You know, my lawyer gave me my life back.
When I grew up, I used to love to go to my grandmother's bedroom because she had so much stuff to look at and to touch, and you'd ask her about it and she'd tell you a story, you know. And so I'm cluttered up here too, just like my grandma, but everything is a story, so. I bought my home in 2012. I started getting the letters maybe the beginning of 2014. So when I got that letter from the IRS, the only thing I could think of was it's gonna take my house. Who would have thought not checking one box would have escalated to that? Fear just gripped me. And when fear grips you like that, you can't think. You can't, you don't make logical decisions. After speaking with my lawyer, that's when I actually started feeling better. I was like, okay, this could be doable. I maybe won't lose my home, My lawyer told me they were getting ready to write this letter called an offer in compromise. After I found out that they accepted, I was able to pick up my life where it was before the letter. I can't even explain to you the hopelessness that I felt. I'm happy to be able to say I love my home and now I can live in it.
Hello again. I'd like to thank our Leadership Academy for their role in identifying and sharing the compelling client stories featured in today's videos. I believe it's the personal impact that we can have on helping improve others' lives that makes us all proud to be a Missouri lawyer. We begin the core of today's luncheon program by recognizing those members of the bar who have attained or will attain this year the status of senior counselor. This is a distinction reserved for those members of the bar who have been in practice for 50 years or who have attained the age of 75 years. The names of this year's senior counselors are featured on the screens. I'd now like to ask John Black, a past president of the Missouri Bar and one of the members of this year's class, to say a few words. Please help me give a warm welcome to 1992 to 1993 Missouri Bar President John Black.
Thank you, Lauren. Good afternoon, everybody. It's fun to be here with this group again. Senior counselors, we wound up seeing the list here. There are 300 of us. a lot of survivors. It's been impressed upon me several times that this is not intended to be a long talk. There are a lot of speakers who are going to be here this afternoon, and they're all eloquent, and we want to hear from them. But in fact, I was reminded a little bit of an article that I saw in Newsweek many years ago. It was about John Ashcroft when he was governor of Missouri. Apparently, the governor would start some meetings by saying, Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address in 2 minutes. If you've got anything more important to say, feel free to speak longer. And so we'll try and stay focused here. Senior counselors, it's an interesting thing. I mean, we get this title simply by surviving, and that's a good thing. And so's a nice lunch and a certificate that we're getting, and the title is pretty cool. So we're happy to be senior counselors, I guess. When I think about when we started, which seemed an eye blink ago, the practice was significantly different. We are now very much in the age of technology. We're very much in a situation where communications have to be rapid, where we do research and we engage in discovery, and we do things just in a very different manner than we did back in the day. But in the more important senses of what we're doing is in our client's best interest, that stays the same. And we, as we go forward, find that change is inevitable, but it's also not that bad for the most part. I had a friend who was a kind of a grumpy old coach. He wasn't a lawyer, but he was giving a talk at one of these things, and he got up and said, I've seen a lot of changes in my life, and I've been against every darn one of them. It's not quite that way with us, because we recognize that as things change, as we work differently, we're doing so in a way that redounds to the benefit of our clients, and that's, at the end of the day, what we're here for. I do want to thank Lauren for the opportunity for all of us to come here and have this recognition. It's a very nice thing, and Lauren, you've done a great job as president of the Missouri Bar. Congratulations. And I know that on a going forward basis, the bar will continue to be in good hands. So with that, on behalf of my colleagues, I want to thank you for the lunch and for the certificates and for the title. And we'll plan on being back here 50 years hence to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Would all of the members of this year's class of senior counselors who are here today please stand and be recognized? I invite each of you to gather for photographs in this room immediately following this luncheon. My term as president of the Missouri Bar concludes with this annual meeting. Over the past year, I have had the privilege of joining numerous Missouri Bar members as they've come together both physically and virtually. But even with all of the travel and events that I've been able to attend, I've experienced only a fraction of the myriad ways that our members are connecting each day. Whether at our bar conferences, committee meetings, regional gatherings, CLEs, social events, volunteer activities, service projects, walks, runs, and even blood drives. Our members have made time to connect with one another and their communities, and we are all better for it. These gatherings, whether they're focused on increasing our collective knowledge about our profession and our skills, or serving the community, improving our well-being, or just enjoying each other's company, enrich our lives in a way I truly only began to appreciate during the pandemic. When we connect with each other, we can help each other share ideas, get exposed to new viewpoints, make better decisions, build better relationships, feel less lonely, and even have fun while we're doing it. You and your fellow Missouri lawyers are innovators, creative problem solvers, mentors, mentees, teachers, leaders, caregivers, and performers. And each opportunity we have to engage with one another is a chance to improve our practice, serve our clients and our communities, and bring joy to our lives. My favorite Missouri Bar event has always been this annual meeting. It embodies the activities that are essential to strengthening our profession and our justice system. We are better together, and we are best when everyone is included. I am so pleased that each of you has taken the time to gather here, and I hope that this is an inspiring and enriching experience for you all. As my tenure as bar president comes to an end, I want to thank my family for their support, my parents, Larry and Sylvia Tucker, and my husband, Gabe, and my children, Paige and Ainsley and James. It's a lot to put up with a mom who's on the road the entire year, and I'm very grateful for that. Equally, I'm grateful for the lawyers from Polsinelli, many of whom are here today, who helped me balance this time for this important role. And I'm so thankful to the staff of the Missouri Bar, the Board of Governors, and the members of the judiciary and the judicial staff and others who give countless hours to improve the law and the lives of all Missourians, and frankly make those of us who have the privilege of serving in this role look a lot smarter than we are. And most of all, I, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank each and every one of you for the privilege of serving as your president this year. It has truly been the honor of my life. I now, however, have a wonderful honor, which is the pleasure of introducing you to the woman who will lead the Missouri Bar this next year. Megan Phillips of St. Louis is a tremendous leader, a respected lawyer, a passionate advocate and public servant, and a wonderful friend. And she will bring the utmost care to her job as our president. At this time, I am so pleased to ask the Honorable Lisa Van Amberg to come forward and administer the oath of office to Megan.
And I'm so privileged to have the honor of administering the oath of office to you today. Would you raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Missouri.
The Constitution of the State of Missouri.
And the bylaws of the Missouri Bar.
And the bylaws of the Missouri Bar.
And that I will faithfully perform the duties of President.
And that I will faithfully perform the duties of President.
Of the Missouri Bar.
Of the Missouri Bar.
To the best of my skills and abilities.
To the best of my skills and abilities.
By promoting service to the people of Missouri.
By promoting service to the people of Missouri.
Enhancement of the legal profession.
Enhancement of the legal profession.
And improvement of the administration of justice.
And improvement of the administration of justice.
Congratulations.
Good afternoon, friends, colleagues, judges, distinguished guests. It is great to be back in my hometown, although I have not yet been out of the building. First of all, I want to thank Judge Van Amberg for doing the honors today. I was her law clerk for several years on the Eastern District Court of Appeals, and now we teach together at St. Louis University School of Law. Judge, thank you for your mentorship and friendship, and for being here to support me today. And happy birthday. It was her birthday yesterday, so by the way. Next, I want to recognize immediate past President Lauren Tucker McCubbin. It's her new favorite title, by the way, and all of the past presidents in attendance. I stand on your shoulders, and I have you on speed dial for the coming year. I especially want to thank the women presidents who came before us. Before Lauren, there were only 5, and they blazed the trail. And now, for the first time in the bar's near 80-year history, all 4 officers are women. To my generation and those before us, it's a really big deal. Hopefully for the younger folks, it's totally normal, nothing to see here, and that's a good thing. Thank you to my friends and colleagues on the Board of Governors for entrusting me with this profound honor and responsibility. I promise to give you my very best effort this year while making your service meaningful and fun. I was raised by a lawyer and a teacher. My dad, who's no longer with us, was a UMKC law grad and practiced here in Kansas City. Some of the senior lawyers here may have known him, Roger Phillips. I miss him fiercely today, but have been showered with well wishes from many of his peers telling me how proud he would have been. And I have a large cheering section here with me today. First and foremost, my mom, Patricia Phillips. If you live in the Kansas City area and have children in the Johnson County School District, you probably know her because she is a legend, having taught in elementary schools here for decades. She has educated generations. She is everyone's favorite teacher, especially mine. Mom, would you please stand and let everyone clap for me? With her, she has a small entourage with her, are some of her closest friends whom I've known all of my life and who supported my mother through the hell of my teenage years. These women have demonstrated that friendship is the key to success and happiness and longevity. Thank you for being my role models in friendship and motherhood and good trouble. Which brings me to my own squad. I am obnoxiously filthy rich with the best of friends. My cousin is here. She and I were raised like sisters. She gave me a pixie haircut with my aunt's ginormous sewing shears when we were 3 years old. And now she's an architect. Several of my college and law school friends are here with me as well. These women have seen all the versions of me at all stages of life. These are friends who drop everything and run toward the crisis. But this time, thank you for being here to share this celebratory moment with me and getting me through this speech. So, on to that. I have always been a joiner. In college, I joined a sorority founded in 1870 by women seeking equal access to education and the social support of a chosen family. They aspired to challenge themselves intellectually and affect the widest influence for good. My experience among these high-achieving women had a profound impact on who I am and why I stand before you today. In bar service, I came up primarily through women's advocacy. I led the Women Lawyers Association in St. Louis. Through the bar's Leadership Academy, I taught at Missouri Girls State for several years, and I chaired the Missouri Joint Commission on Women in the Profession. Meanwhile, for 17 years, I earned a living as a career law clerk in the state appellate and federal district courts. Along the way, I realized that to advance the causes that I care about, equality, justice, and yes, Mom, civic education, the Missouri Bar is where we, here all of us today, can do the most good. We know that within the profession, the bar provides CLEs, practice resources, and networking opportunities to help us thrive and succeed in service to our clients. Within our communities, the bar is a conduit for public service and civic education. Next time you're feeling burned out, go spend an afternoon at your nearest school presenting one of the bar's lesson plans. Or just log on to Missouri Free Legal Answers from your computer and make someone's day by simply answering a question. It feels good to do good. And within our society at large, lawyers are the guardians of democracy and the rule of law. Our rules of professional conduct mandate truth, civility, and integrity because these are the qualities vital to the public's confidence in our justice system. Additionally, and importantly, the bar collaborates with and serves the judiciary in furtherance of its critical role as the third branch in our democracy. and I can't fathom a wider influence than that. Unfortunately, disinformation abounds and fuels public distrust, undermining our courts and the rule of law. Lawyers are uniquely positioned to correct misconceptions and explain the principle of judicial independence. With the privilege of our profession comes this civic responsibility. Advances in technology, such as generative artificial intelligence and alternative models of provision of legal services, are barreling toward us. Your bar is tracking these developments to identify best practices, to utilize these tools for efficiency and access while protecting the public from an unregulated emerging market. And friends, let's normalize real talk about tough subjects. Many of us are struggling in this profession. Lawyers experience alarming rates of depression, anxiety, substance use, and even suicide. Lawyers of color leave the profession at twice the average rate. The bar strives to be a place of inclusion and belonging, where your lived experience is valued and celebrated, and your well-being matters. The Supreme Court of Missouri created our unified bar nearly 80 years ago, and today we enjoy the collective strength of nearly 31,000 members. Like siblings in a family, we may have our internal differences on any number of issues, but here we're united in our common goal to improve the profession, the law, and the administration of justice on behalf of all Missourians. Last year at this very lunch, then Chief Justice Paul Wilson said something that stuck with me, and I bet it resonates with you too. Commit yourself to a life of service, and the pursuit of happiness will take care of itself. I couldn't agree more. I am profoundly honored to serve as president of the Missouri Bar for the coming year. I look forward to us working together, unified, to affect the widest influence for good. Thank you. Now it's my privilege to ask immediate past president, her favorite title, Lauren Tucker McCubbin, to join me on stage again. Lauren has been an absolutely tremendous leader and ambassador for the Missouri Bar this past year. She has traveled the state, meeting local bar groups and educating members about expanded remote public access to court documents and the related redaction requirements. She has been an impeccable spokesperson for us on a national stage and outside the profession with the legislature, the media, and the public. She also ran ruthlessly efficient board meetings, which everyone appreciates. Put simply, she is a tough act to follow. Lauren, thank you for your friendship, your example, and congratulations on a wildly successful year. And I am delighted to present to you a plaque. Does someone have the plaque? Behind you. It's for you. This plaque, on behalf of the Board of Governors, as a token of our gratitude for your dedicated service as our president. Please give it up for Lauren. Does she want us over there? She's over here. Over there. Thank you, Lauren, for your stellar leadership, truly stellar leadership. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Mary Rhodes Russell, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Missouri. Judge Russell was appointed to the Supreme Court in 2004 and served as Chief Justice from July 2014 to June 2015. And now she is the first woman in the state court's history to serve a second term as Chief Justice. She graduated from Truman State University and the University of Missouri School of Law. The list of Judge Russell's accomplishments is as long as the Missouri Constitution, so I won't even attempt to recite it. It suffices to say that throughout her career, she has been committed to countless civic and charitable activities, including service as a member and past chair of the Missouri Press Bar Commission. I myself was fortunate to serve with Judge Russell on the Missouri Court-Appointed Special Advocates Association. We all know her as a brilliant jurist, a respected colleague, a generous mentor, especially to women lawyers, and above all, a consummate public servant. Please join me in welcoming a woman who needs no introduction, Chief Justice Mary Rhodes Russell.
Thank you. Thank you, President-elect Phillips, and good afternoon to all of you. I'm back. Some of you might remember I spoke at this event nearly a decade ago, and it's when I was first Chief Justice. And we rotate this position among the judges on our court, and because I'm currently the longest-serving judge, I get a second term. Lucky me. Well, a few people have asked me, what has changed since the last time? And I say, what hasn't changed? Well, except me, of course. I don't look any older, do I? Well, you know, change is a funny thing, and the very utterance of the word change can evoke a range of responses. Some of you may view change as a great adventure to be embraced with relish. Well, for me, and the more normal of us in the room, it may cause anxiety, a rise in blood pressure, a quickening of the pulse, fear, perhaps even panic. But whether we like it or not, the world around us keeps changing, and we either fight the inevitable and fail, or we find a way to adapt and grow. In some ways, we're lucky because as legal professionals, our foundation remains constant. So while the rule of law and other concepts and legal precedents remain steadfast, how we do our job has changed dramatically. But I think Mark Twain was right when he said, I'm in favor of progress. It's change I don't like. Technology is the most obvious change. It has impacted our profession at an unprecedented pace. When I stood up here a decade ago, one of the biggest challenges we had was figuring out how to let an attorney present evidence electronically. But COVID forced us all to use unfamiliar technology, such as WebEx, to keep our courts functioning, whether remotely or via hybrid proceedings. It was incredibly stressful, but adapting to the reality of the pandemic was a necessity, and you know what they say about necessity. In hindsight, it showed us that not only can we change, but that change could bring unanticipated benefits. Saving time and expense for all of your clients, driving hours to the courthouse, and waiting long periods in line for your turn in the courtroom have become less frequent. Even the bar has changed how it provides legal education. Now, CLEs are offered remotely, making it easier for all of us to keep up with new developments in the practice of law while saving time. The learning curve may have been steep, but as a profession, we cleared the hurdles and embraced those changes, and our practice and proceedings are better for it. But despite the convenience and efficiency, there's a downside. The camaraderie of lawyers seeing each other at CLEs or in the courthouse, such as on law days, is lost. The loss of personal contact between lawyers must not compromise our civility. Now, more than ever, it's important for all of us to treat one another with kindness and respect. And now we're in the throes of yet another major change in public access to court records. We've been expanding transparency for nearly 3 decades. Of course, records of all our courts are presumed to be open to the public, and attorneys always have had the legal obligation to redact confidential information from the public court filings. But as the years passed, the expectation became that public should mean available online for anyone, not just licensed attorneys or court employees. This summer, remote public access arrived. For 2 years, the Missouri Court Automation Committee laid the groundwork for the expansion of remote public access. The court provided a 1-year roadmap to redaction with more specific rules about what would be expected of filers. Some have argued that we've been moving much too slowly, while others have been arguing we've been moving not much too fast.
People disagreeing. Never heard of that before. Working as a team, the bar and the judiciary have spent countless hours educating lawyers and judges alike and developing a web-based Q&A for pro se litigants and the public. I want to give a huge thank you to each and every one of you who has stepped up to help educate your fellow lawyers, judges, and staff about the best practices for redacting confidential information. I understand this change is as monumental for lawyers and judges as it is momentous for the public. But don't let the pressure of change discourage you. Please continue to provide your thoughtful feedback and suggestions as we consider how to continue improving the access that CaseNet provides. You are an important part of this revolutionary journey of bringing the public court files to anyone with an internet connection. Before you know it, redaction will be as routine as e-filing, and we will have succeeded in making our judicial system so much more accessible and transparent for the public we all serve. And besides, next year, we'll be worrying about AI. Another part of our practice that continues to change is how cases are decided. For example, although the number of civil filings has increased slightly, the number of civil jury trials has been steadily declining for decades, with more cases being resolved through mediation, arbitration, and settlement. Since the year 2000, the number of civil jury trials in Missouri has dropped 76%. At least one country lawyer from Illinois would view this as a good change. He said, "Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. Point out to them that the nominal winner is often the real loser in fees, expenses, and waste of time. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has a superior opportunity to do good, and there will still be business enough." Anybody recognize that country lawyer from Illinois? Yeah, that's right, Abraham Lincoln. Significant changes in our profession don't stop with technology, public access, and caseloads. The makeup of our profession is changing as well. And let's start with this head tables right here. As was mentioned, for the first time in the history of our bar, our president-elect, our vice president are all women, and just yesterday, Athena Dixon was elected to become our next vice president. The composition of our judges also has been changing dramatically. Since I last spoke to you, 60% of our judges statewide are new, with Governor Parson having appointed nearly a quarter of them since 2021. To highlight, in the last year alone, 3/4 of Greene County's judges and more than a quarter of its commissioners are new to their position. This is a huge change. And as a result of all of this change, the diversity of our bench is shifting too, with more judges who are female, younger, minorities, or with physical disabilities. With baby boomers entering retirement, law offices are also changing. In just the last couple of years, about 1,200 attorneys have taken inactive status. That leaves nearly 31,000 active lawyers licensed to practice law in Missouri. And another 378 new lawyers will be sworn in later this month. Today, more than a third of Missouri attorneys are women, and approximately 12% are ethnically diverse. In addition, the composition of our law schools continues to change. For the first time ever, all 4 Missouri law schools have more female students in their classroom than male students. The majority of the editors-in-chiefs of the school's major legal publications are also women. For example, here at UMKC, that woman is Naomi Bowie, a non-traditional minority law student. This is revolutionary to me, given my own memories of law school. We had so few women, the women's restroom was about the size of a closet. When today's first-year law students graduate, their entrance into the profession will also be quite different than the one that we experienced. To meet employers' expectation that their new hires will be practice-ready, a new bar exam is being created to enhance skills testing. The focus will be on applying skills to legal doctrine. Beginning in July of 2026, the National Conference of Bar Examiners will roll out what is being called the Next Gen Bar Exam. And a national leader in developing this test is our own Judge Cindy Martin of the Missouri Court of Appeals Western District. She is highly regarded nationally for her hard work, her leadership, and her legal acumen on this major project. And we also have been national leaders in our willingness to look inward, critically examining what we find and applying what we learn to improve how we do things. A wise person once told me that healthy things grow and growing things change. So think about it. Change isn't just reacting to circumstances around us. We should seek opportunities to embrace change because it means we are healthy. We are growing. And look how much we've grown already. By making our courthouses physically safer, to providing better funding for our public defender system, and by developing stronger partnerships with private attorneys. We've also clamped down on our use of municipal divisions as ATMs for local governments. But there's always room for improvement, and we must be willing to do the work necessary to grow. We cannot shy away from criticism, whether we find it constructive or not. And we cannot ignore evidence demonstrating a need for improvement. Here's one example. A recent independent study by Missouri State University of more than a decade's worth of criminal case records found systemic issues with procedural fairness in how people are charged and how sentences in criminal cases are given, especially those involving domestic violence and armed criminal action. The results are just a beginning, and the university recommends further study. But one thing is clear. We must work harder to change how we treat all people who come into our courts. I believe we can all agree the bottom line is this, that every person, regardless of their age, gender, race, ethnicity, education, or ability, should be treated with respect from the moment they enter the criminal justice system to the final disposition of their case. Procedural fairness is at the heart of our judicial system. Law enforcement and prosecutors must be fair in how they arrest and charge defendants. Prosecutors and defense counsel alike must be fair in how they engage in plea negotiations. Judges must be fair when they determine who is eligible for diversion programs and how a convicted defendant should be sentenced. The courtroom is one place where the promise of everyone being treated equally must be true. Our system of justice requires it. It is not enough to say we're going to follow the law and treat everyone fairly and equitably. We have to act on that promise and not allow ourselves to be distracted by personal notions. We must do everything in our power to ensure procedural fairness in every case for every litigant every time. If change is hard for us, it can be brutal on our staff, whom we rely on to just magically make things work as we want. 10 years ago, I embarked on an undercover judge program to learn from the people who use our courts. It highlighted what we were doing well and what we could do better. And one finding still resounds with me. Despite the outcome of a case, litigants just wanted to be heard in a courtroom. Well, you can hear a lot just by listening, and over the next 2 years, I plan to travel to every circuit in the state, and there's 46 of them now, to listen, learn, and thank our court employees for everything they do. They are unsung heroes, overworked and underpaid, who in this past year alone have been transitioning to a new case management system, scouring thousands of court records for potential expungements, and helping us navigate remote public access, all while still making sure the everyday work of the courts gets done. It truly takes a whole network of villages for our legal systems to function well. A court without its clerks, bailiffs, juvenile officers, jury supervisors, court administrators, and other staffs would flounder, just as I would suspect that many of you would without your assistants, your paralegals, your investigators, and office managers. In recognition of the change that they all have to endure, please be kind to all staff. Some changes hit really close to home. And for those of us in our court, this gathering is bittersweet. Our longtime friend and colleague, George Draper, hung up his robe this summer and is now enjoying a well-earned retirement. And next month, we lose another longtime friend and colleague, Patty Breckenridge. As she also faces mandatory retirement. And so you just taken away my applause line. I was just saying, please join me in thanking these two incredible jurists for a combined 7 decades of judicial service to the state of Missouri. Thankfully, this summer, our court finished with all of our cases resolved. And so this leaves a fresh slate for our newest member, Judge Kelly Broniak. And for those of you who don't know Judge Broniak yet, she's been a judge on the Eastern District Court of Appeals since October of 2020. She previously served as both an associate circuit judge and an elected prosecutor in Montgomery County. Judge Broniak, I know you're going to be an outstanding addition to our court, and I think you will find, as I have, that your new colleagues on our court are intelligent, especially when they agree with me. And they're collegial, usually. And they will welcome you with open arms, and I'm excited to welcome you to our new court family. When I graduated from law school in there was only one woman on the United States Supreme Court, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. And it would be another 7 years before Ann Covington became the first woman on the Supreme Court of Missouri. And each time a woman joins our court, it resonates deeply with me. Women of my generation have been the only woman at the table, are the only woman in the room. And so the thought of now having a majority women on the Supreme Court of Missouri during my lifetime, even if it's only for a month, leaves me too emotional for words. We can't stop the constant changes to our work and the world around us, but to succeed, we need to change as well. And of course, that's easier said than done because change is stressful. The nature of the work that we do is stressful. Life is stressful. So to be at our best, whether at work or at home, we need to take care of each other and ourselves. The pressures on lawyers in trying to secure a favorable result for their client and making payroll for the firm are on judges in rendering a tough, unpopular decision, all while maintaining high ethical standards, can be overwhelming. Our Bar Association has taken steps to boost resources available to us and address our needs in a healthy way. So if you see a colleague who appears to not be themselves, ask how you might be helpful to them. urge them to take a break when things get overwhelming, and then celebrate their decision to seek help. You all are important to me, and I care about each and every one of you, and we're part of this challenging profession in challenging times, and it's exciting, it's demanding, it's rewarding, and it's stressful. And if the last decade has taught us anything, it's this, that we are capable of adapting to change, and it is worth it. Charles Darwin once said, "It's not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change." I need you, we all need each other to build resiliency and to adapt to all the changes around us. I'm counting on you to look after yourselves and one another. Together, we can all do our best to change, to grow, and to make our system of justice even better. Thank you.
So excellent as always. Thank you all for attending today's luncheon. I urge you to take advantage of all of the wonderful educational programming being offered this afternoon, and I can't wait to see you tonight at the Best of Missouri reception at Union Station's Science City, sponsored generously by the Rob and Rob Law Firm. Senior counselors, please remain in this room for the photos with the Chief Justice and I, and the rest of you, please enjoy the rest of the meeting, and thank you again.